time ago, there was this TV channel that came to the surface.
This is the Learning Channel.
It was called the Learning Channel, and it consisted of educational content, and it was supposed to make people gain knowledge about different topics. As time went on, however, they kind of changed their point. They changed it more into reality TV shows and started emphasizing more on the human story and the struggles different people face. Of course, this is still C, and we now know it as the channel with the crazy reality shows. I want to touch upon a topic that I feel like was overlooked and people really didn't talk about it enough, and that is the shows that aired called Extreme Cheapstakes and Extreme Couponing, and the way they misled audiences, destroyed people's lives, and the trends they said then, I feel like are happening now again. So let's just dive into it and talk about the controversies, the lives that were damaged, and what is still happening till this day. A quick personal story. I loved TLC when I was a kid. I didn't have access to Disney, so my only way of kind of seeing what life was like in America, because as you can see from my accent, I'm not from America, but this was my only way of kind of seeing what's happening there. So for me, it was really fascinating, and I was really addicted to the shows in TLC, and these two ones actually impacted me a lot as well. However, it would be until 13 years later that I'm now in university, and I had to do an assignment about these shows that now changed my way of viewing them. First, I would like to give you some context about the time. These shows came in 2012, and even though the 2008 recession would technically end at 2009, unemployment rates will continue to be really high during 2012, and the household incomes will continue to drop in 2012. Some economists even refer this time as the zombie economy, because it was neither dead nor fully recovered from a lot of the other crises that happened in the past. Of course, there were other crises that happened during 2012 that also impacted people then, but I hope now I paint you a little bit of the picture of what the population had to face. And of course, TLC wanted to show that. TLC wanted to show us what the struggle is for these people. So they created Extreme Cheapstakes. They created a show where they showed different people and their way of fighting the change in prices and so on. There were people that were dumpster diving. There were people that only had 2 t-shirts. There were people that didn't do laundry. There were people that surrounded around their whole house so that the value didn't drop throughout the time. There were people that just didn't have any kind of furniture. There were also people that were using the same shampoo while showering, literally getting it from their head and putting it on someone else's. So this show really had a big shock factor with all of these things that they were portraying. However, I would like you to look in the case of Kate. Kate is actually the face of Cheapstakes, I feel like. Everybody knows her and knows her story now. She was the extremist of the extreme. She was portrayed in such a way that people would say that she's crazy. She didn't use any kind of washing machines. She would dumpster dive. She would live with no furniture. She would only have 2 t-shirts and so on and so on. And it was extremely entertaining for the public. However, it was extremely damaging for Kate. Kate actually grew up with a really critical mother that criticized her a lot when it came to her appearance and the way she was. And all of this will then be reinforced by the backlash her episode on Cheapstakes created for her. There were people making fake accounts to make fun of her. There were people leaving comments that were extremely offensive and just being extremely rude. This then damaged her self-esteem a lot, her view of herself, her confidence, everything. And the problem is that what the show showed was actually not exactly true. Yes, Kate lived on the cheaper side of things, but the show was exaggerated, as she would say in an interview after the episode. A lot of the things is just reality TV. Reality TV has never been actually extremely real. So by exaggerating this and making her seem so extreme, people actually had this skewed point of view of her that she's literally like this. So she faced a lot of problems with that. In the interview she did 2 years ago, she would explain that a show didn't portray her day-to-day life literally, and is just created for entertainment, and that people should not think of it as something real. However, this is what we do. We would like to feel better and to feel like we are better than others. So of course, people made fun of her. The show was cancelled, and there is a speculation that it was cancelled exactly because it was extremely exaggerated and kind of fake, with some cast members actually being actors and over-exaggerating what is happening, and the cost-cutting techniques and measures were actually staged. However, we would never really know if this is true or not because TLC had never given an answer to all of these questions. Extreme couponing was in the niche of extreme cheapsteaks. They also had the same context when it came to the environment, given that they were produced around the same years. However, it portrays a really different way of fighting with the same historical context. It was about coupon-based shoppers that would have extreme amount of coupons and buy extreme amounts of food and products just because they can. As a kid and as a consumer then, I was extremely hooked on the way they were planning the adrenaline rush from being at the cash register and showing all of these coupons, buying so much food. But now I understand the consequences of that. There was also another thing that was extremely fascinating for it, and that was exactly this, the amount of food. And there were garages full of food and products that they don't really even use. They were buying products as if a war was coming, as if an apocalypse was coming. However, I would always watch that and wonder about three things. First, how? How is it even possible to have so many coupons, to use them? And at the end, in some cases, even the supermarket actually owes you money for buying so many stuff. Second, why? Why would you purchase so many stuff? Why do you feel the need to purchase so much stuff? And why do you feel the need to do it with coupons? And then 3, what? What was happening with all of this food, and what were the consequences of having so much food? The answers to these questions I actually found in my research, and for the how, I was actually extremely disappointed when I found out there was just a misuse of coupons and actually using counterfeit coupons. This was intertwined with the fact that some contestants actually claimed that the show was 90% fake. But however, this is all still a speculation and a conspiracy because, again, TLC would never answer these questions. For the why and why they were doing this, I actually found something extremely interesting, and that was a research done in Claremont University that showed the neurophysiology of using coupons. And the key findings of that research, that there was a higher oxytocin level, up to 38% when using coupons and discounts. There was increased stress, the heart rate would drop, and also the sweat levels would be lower, which then resulted in people being 11% happier when they had a discount and a coupon. Granted, this research was the first research done on this topic, but I think it's onto something. That people actually feel more relieved when they have more, when they have an abundance of something. They are relaxed that they would get more giving less, which then implements that they have more money as well. And for the what, some of the contestants claimed that they gave the food and the products to charity and to homeless people and so on. However, some of the contestants just got it for themselves. We would never really know if the products and the coupons are faked, but again, having such an abundance of food that you would probably never eat and having such an abundance of products that you would never use, might as well just do something with it and just give it somewhere. The thing I wanted to point out with these shows was the contrast in dealing with the same problem. People were faced with a crisis. People were faced with the fact that they probably didn't have enough money or they didn't have a job. And some of them went to the extremes. Some of them went into the extremes of being cheap, of under-consuming, which then correlated with their mental health and the way they were feeling as you would watch some of the episodes, you will see that most of these people were not actually really happy. They were always scared and anxious. What are they going to do with their money? How are they going to have more money? And so on. And some of them went the other way around, where they actually wanted to get as much as possible for the cheapest price possible. And they had such an abundance of products, but they still felt the need to get more because they didn't know if they would be able to afford it in the future and if they would be able to get it then. And all of this sounds way too familiar for me. All of this sounds with the way now people are also on the one way of the spectrum where they want to live really cheaply on the extremely sustainable side. And yeah, there is a lot of pluses in under-consuming, but there is also an extreme of under-consuming. And then there is overconsumption. There are people that just want to get as much as possible on the cheapest price possible. And that's where sites like Shein, Temu, and AliExpress actually thrive. And people don't understand the consequences of buying such products that are being manufactured in facilities that are not created for humans. But again, this scarcity mindset that, oh, this is the best price, and I maybe won't be able to afford it if it's if it's more expensive, so let me grab it now, and so on. So it created another part of the population that was extremely over-consuming. These people that were over-consuming are becoming hoarders in a way for some stuff, which then correlates to, again, TOC and their show called Hoarders. That was actually the motivation for creating extreme cheapstakes and then extreme couponing. Hope you guys liked this video, and I hope it wasn't just me annoyingly rambling on a topic. But if it was, this is my brain, and here I'm just a strange girl with strange interests. So, till next time.
That be Blake. I am the Coupanator, aka the Super Saver. I'm saving up dollars, always now, never later. Getting your papers, cut it out. They be money, ain't no doubt. Helping you save every single day, and I wouldn't have it any other way.